Greetings and welcome everyone to Retro Game Repairman, where we learn to get vintage video games to run on modern hardware. I'm your host Ace, and today we'll be looking at Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo. First released on the Nintendo 64 in 2000 and then ported to Windows in 2001, Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo is an absolute hidden gem of a game, developed by the legendary studio known as Factor 5, which is best known for the Rogue Squadron trilogy. In fact, Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo could even be considered to be the fourth and forgotten Star Wars Rogue Squadron game. So understandably, it is rather unfortunate that even getting this game to install on modern hardware is something of a challenge. But of course, that is why we are here today. But before I continue any further, however, I should mention that these fixes are being tested once again on a Windows 10 64-bit with 48GB of DDR4 RAM, a GTX 980 Ti, and an i7-6700K processor. I should also mention that because there are no digital versions of this game available, these fixes were tested using a physical copy. With that out of the way, the first step is to manually install Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo. To do this, you'll want to create a new folder for the game itself named Battle for Naboo. And inside that folder, you'll want to create two additional folders, namely Data PC and Install. It's worth noting that you should avoid putting the game's directory folder into the Program Files x86 folder, as that could cause issues. Once that's done, you'll want to get into the CD itself and copy battlefornaboo.exe and paste it into the game directory. Once this is done, follow it up by going into the install folder of the game CD and copy the highlighted files and paste them into the Data PC folder in the game's directory. After which, you'll want to go back into the install folder of the game CD and copy these highlighted files and paste them into the install folder of the game's directory. Next up, you'll want to add the game to your computer's registry. To simplify the process, I have a file for you to download, which you should then edit to ensure that the highlighted paths line up with where you actually put the game's folder. Save and then double click on this registry file, and then when prompted, hit yes. Now the game should be playable. However, there is something else we can do to make it look nicer. So the next step is to download and extract DGVoodoo 2, and then go into the DGVoodoo 2 directory, and then into the MS folder, and then into the x86 folder and copy the files shown here, and then paste them into the Data PC folder of your game's directory. Once this is done, start DGVoodoo 2 and select Add, and then select the Data PC folder from the game's directory, and then configure the DirectX tab as shown here. Once that is done, hit OK, and then we will move on to our next step, which is to configure the game's options using the startup file. And once that's done, the one last thing to keep in mind is that if you are going to be playing this game with a controller, then you will want to hit Ctrl-J to activate the controller while in-game. Congratulations! If you have done everything correctly, then your copy of Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo should be fully playable, and in full 1080p resolution. One final note is that, of course, this game needs to be run at no higher than a refresh rate of 60 Hz. So if you are using a monitor that is capable of higher refresh rates, then you will want to lower it to 60 Hz, otherwise you will be having issues with controls. That said, I will of course be leaving links in the description below to all of the aforementioned files, and I hope that you find this guide and these resources to be of use. In addition, I of course also hope to be back again soon with yet another video. But in any case, this has been Ace. Hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Ace out.